one of the most high-profile and notorious churches around, known for its celebrity alumni, including Tom Cruise and John Travolta, it is often in the spotlight. Well, the latest allegations have just emerged from opera singer Placido Domingo's son, a long-time Scientologist. This interview has gone viral, and he's revealed that when his wife left the church, he was told not to have anything to do with her. Now that he's left, leaders are said to have posted a blog with details about his personal life and have been disowned by those he used to call friends. This morning from Adelaide, a man who has talked a lot about Scientology, Senator Nick Xenophon. Senator, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kerry-Ann.
Sounds an extraordinary story when someone like Placido Domingo's son is being, literally told you're not allowed to talk to people. From your research, how treacherous can some of these people be?
Look, unfortunately, it is extraordinary, but it's all too common. I've spoken to many victims of the Church of Scientology, former members who've suffered from the so-called policy of disconnect, where if you leave the church, the order goes out that you're not supposed to have any contact with members of the church. So members of the church are supposed to disconnect, and even if that splits up families, tears families apart, that's part of church policy.
Yeah, it does seem extraordinary because there have been so many rumours about the church for a very, very long time. You find it hard to believe that it does happen. But that is your information, that is your research?
Not just research, not just information, directly speaking to many victims of the Church of Scientology. It's easy to get into the Church of Scientology, but very, very difficult to get out. And if you want to leave the church, not only will you be disconnected from your friends, from your family, but they will use, as they have in this case, personal, private, confidential information to embarrass you, and that's pretty disgusting.
Wow. I mean, but I've interviewed some Scientologists, and I've got to say, on the face of it, they're very normal, reasonable people. I mean, Kate Sobrano is a perfect example. She is a great woman, and I would find it very difficult to believe that she would be party to any of that. And a lot of the Scientologists that I've spoken to, I would be surprised if they'd indulge in that sort of discrimination.
Look, this goes not to individual members, but to the church hierarchy, and the problem is if you want to leave the organisation, then you are subjected to all sorts of sanctions, all sorts of dirty tricks and smears, and that's pretty terrible. I can only tell you about people that I've spoken to who have literally lost their homes because they have forked out hundreds of thousands of dollars for so-called courses in Scientology, for so-called enlightenment. Look, I think it's about people being protected from this sort of behaviour, these sorts of pressure tactics, and that's the key to it. And that's why it's good that the federal government has announced that there'll be a charities commission which will at least have some level of scrutiny, some level of transparency and accountability for organisations that claim a tax-free status.
The particular information that was put up on Facebook about Placido Domingo's son, it's come to my attention that he's left our group, aligned himself on his Facebook with people who hate the church. I suggest dropping him from your friends list and any mutual friends on Facebook. But that still comes down to the individuals, and we have a lot of individuals in all sorts of religions who perhaps are not all they should be if you follow the lines perfectly.
Look, exactly. Look, I think the issue here is that people should be free to believe whatever they want, but it's people's behaviour that should be accountable. And the fact is, the Church of Scientology gets tax-free status, and with tax-free status, there ought to be some measure of accountability. People shouldn't feel pressured, people shouldn't feel coerced, people shouldn't feel they're blackmailed into staying with the church for fear of their personal information being disclosed. And in this case, it has been disclosed, which is pretty awful. What
will happen? Will you be able to get this through?
Well, look, the federal government is committed to having a charities commission. Let's see how. Haven't seen the details of the legislation. If it's based on what the UK has done and what New Zealand has done, that's a good thing. It's a level of accountability, a level of transparency. It gives people a right of redress if they've been harmed by an organisation, and that's very important.
And they are known to be very tough people. Have you had any direct contact with them? Have you ever had any threats?
Look, I've got to say, I haven't. I've got a hand on my heart, I haven't, but I know many people who've, although I understand that they were looking at getting an investigative reporter to be focused in South Australia, which is unusual, but I don't know what's happened to that. But if they want to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to them.
Excellent. Well, Senator, thank you very much for your time. We'll follow up with great interest.
Thanks, Kerry-Ann.
Senator Nick Xenophon joining us from Adelaide. Now, here's something